Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining in again this week. Have a great show planned for you. Later on, I'll have with me Lindsey McGlaughlin, who's an account executive at Wheelhouse Creative, who serves as the marketing manager at Ogilby. We'll be talking about all the happenings at Ogilby, including Boo at the Zoo and the Festival of Lights. But first, let's start with some of our usual features. And I want to start off talking a little bit about the election that's upcoming. I've been talking about that a lot in recent weeks, but I want to talk about specifically voting. One of the things that many people forget is that you don't have to vote on Election Day. You can do it beforehand. Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th, but there is now early voting. In West Virginia, that's from October 24th until November 3rd. It's also on Saturdays during that time period. Sometimes it's difficult because of work, other activities, etc., childcare, to be able to get away on Election Day itself, but you don't have to wait until Election Day. You can go down to the courthouse and do it. In fact, it's very easy. There's almost never a line. It's just really, I've done it once before because I knew I had a conflict out of town on Election Day, and so I went and voted early, and I couldn't believe how easy it was. Now, I kind of like going on Election Day. I like the spirit of it, seeing other people there to vote and going through that process. So I try to do it on Election Day itself whenever I can. But for some people, it's just not possible some years. So make sure you vote. One of our most important both rights and responsibilities as American citizens. My son was learning that the other day in social studies, and they were talking about how it's both a right and a responsibility and asking why that was the case. And I think it's really important to remember that it is both a right and a responsibility. It's a way as citizens that we can make a difference with respect to how we are governed, with respect to what takes place in our local area, our state, our nation. There are, elections for these things for a reason, and on the ballot this time there are both our local, statewide, and national elections, I should say. So really take your time, get to know the candidates beforehand, and then most importantly, go out and vote. Exercise that right and engage in your responsibility that you have to do that. So it should be a fun election to follow. I'll be covering the election on election night on WLU-TV 14. That's West Liberty University's TV channel. It's 14 on Comcast. I'll be doing that with Howard Monroe, and we'll have some other guests on, but we'll be bringing you all of the election results, and I'm always really looking forward to that. I've done it a number of times, and I'm very appreciative that the folks and honored that the folks at West Liberty asked me to do it again this election season. So we'll keep an eye on that. One of the things we'll certainly be keeping an eye on is the Supreme Court. Some recent developments. The West Virginia Supreme Court, all justices sitting by temporary assignment, ruled in the last week that the impeachment proceedings with respect to Chief Justice Margaret Workman could not go forward in the Senate. They ruled that it would be unconstitutional for it to do so under the West Virginia Constitution for some reasons that I'll share with you. First of all, they said that court administration is up to the court itself, and that the legislature can't pass laws that says how the courts can do that would invade upon the province of the judiciary. And so some of these things regarding court administration, et cetera, that the impeachment charges brought against Justice Workman and others could not go forward because that's up to the courts, and one branch of the government can't infringe upon the power of another. So that's one reason. The second is that they said due process wasn't followed. With regard to the procedures that were set forth by the House of Delegates, one of the things they said would have to do, the rules for how this would work, was that there would have to be findings of fact. In other words, certain findings that are set out in a document that says, these are what we have found, we've done an investigation, these are the facts we're relying upon to bring these charges. Well, they didn't do that. Instead, they just brought the charges. And the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. Your own procedures say that you have to set forth findings of fact. You didn't do that, therefore all of the charges are basically invalid, and this cannot go forward. So the trial that was scheduled to begin in the Senate of Justice Workman this week, they basically brought to a halt and said this isn't going to happen. So there's been talks about whether or not the legislature will appeal to the United States Supreme Court. I don't think they're likely to be successful if they do that. Our court ruled on state constitution questions, on state due process, et cetera. So it's really not a question for the United States Supreme Court. So it may be a question about powers between the branches of government, but I don't think our United States Supreme Court will likely get involved in this, and I think that this is how things are going to end up. So an interesting little twist here to this particular story. And as I mentioned, an election is upcoming, and two of the things that will be on the ballot are seats on the West Virginia Supreme Court because, of course, Justice Ketchum resigned his seat Justice Davis resigned from her seat, so those 2 seats are up on this election. And I don't like the fact that I feel like games are being played, political games, with these Supreme Court seats. And I say, don't let it happen. Don't let them do this. Our courts should be elected by the people. It shouldn't be games to see how we can get others who are in political power shifted over to other seats because maybe they're going out of office from a particular seat or lost an election. Evan Jenkins just, lost the election for United States Senate that he was seeking. He had to give up his seat in the House of Representatives to do that. So he was going to be out of a job. All of a sudden now, Governor Justice appoints him to be on the Supreme Court. Tim Armstead, who was Speaker of the House of Delegates, the body that voted to impeach these justices, he's now in the other seat. I don't like the political gamesmanship. It concerns me. I'm supporting Judge Joanna Tabbitt from Charleston for the Division I seat. Jeff Kessler from right here in Marshall County for the Division II seat. And the reason I'm supporting them is that I believe that they understand the rule of law, they believe in justice, fairness, and that they've been around the law. Most importantly, they understand the law because they practice it, have been a judge in Judge Tabbitt's case. So they're not going to make decisions based upon politics, but they're going to make it based upon the law. So that's why I'm supporting Judge Tabbitt and Jeff Kessler for those 2 seats for the Supreme Court. I'll give you a quote this week as well, and I get these quotes from different places, a lot of times from authors or famous people in history, but this one comes from the Bible. It comes from the book of James 1:12. It says, "Blessed is anyone who perseveres when trials come. Such a person is of proven worth and will win the prize of life, the crown that the Lord has promised to those who love him." I thought that's particularly interesting because so many times we face adversity in our life, or we come upon things that are difficult. We think, man, poor me, or we look at the negatives in our life instead of counting our blessings and looking at all the things that, just thinking about your blessings every day. You wake up in the morning and you had a bed to sleep in, or you had hot water to go get a shower in. You have food that you can eat. Just start with those basic things that many people don't have, and then go on from there and start looking at maybe your family, or that you have a job, or whatever it may be. When you start and you put your blessings next to the negatives or the trials in your life, oftentimes the blessings far exceed the trials. But we focus on those negatives so many times. But when you do encounter those trials or those negative things or difficulties, feel blessed that you have them, because if you're able to overcome them, that then proves your worth, just as it says in the book of James. So something to think about when we face adversity in our life is that we can get through it, and when we do, we're that much stronger. We need to take a break, but when we come back, I'll have with me Lindsey McGlaughlin, who will be talking all about things happening at Oglebay. Stay with us here on the Jamie Bordas Show.
When reviewing your oil and gas offers or royalty check statements, do you wonder, am I being offered a fair amount? Do I feel comfortable reading the statement? Do I have peace of mind? If you answered no to these questions, you need Bordas Mineral Management. Our passion is helping mineral owners protect and expand their mineral wealth. Our examiners tell you whether you're being treated fairly and getting paid what is rightfully yours. Bordas Mineral Management. Be protected. Have peace of mind.
Recommended by the highest authorities. Danoon Lumber.
It's like a bad one's coming. Yeah. Right?
Welcome back to the show. It's my favorite time each week when I have a guest with me, and this week my guest is Lindsey McGlaughlin, who is an account executive at Wheelhouse Creative and also the marketing manager at Oglebay. Lindsey, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Always some fun stuff going on at Oglebay, no matter the time of year, always big happenings, but we're right in the heart of October, so that means, of course, for many years, Boo at the Zoo at Oglebay, and I remember going as a kid. My kids go now, and I recently saw a picture of you as a child.
Dressed as a crayon.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was on the My Oglebay video that Wheelhouse did, so enjoyed that, but it really is a long-standing tradition here in the area.
It is, absolutely. And those events that happen for so many years, it's so imperative that we reinvigorate them with new activities, every season, give people a reason to come back and see us again. So this year we've rolled out a new haunted hayride that takes folks on a tractor ride through a haunted scarecrow patch, and they try to escape without being turned into a scarecrow themselves. So people are having a great time with that. So if people do want to check that out, we're selling tickets online. There's also a new light show out on the Good Zoo patio. We recently took that light show and changed it to RGB, so now we're showing it in Halloween colors. So there's a lot of great things happening at Boo at the Zoo. And there are also so many businesses that are getting involved. Of course, the Monteverde Group is the name sponsor of the event, but more and more, we're seeing more businesses getting involved. Of course, Bordas is involved too. And so it's just a fun atmosphere. It truly is a community-centric event. Yeah,
we enjoyed, with the candy station, we got to kind of pick a theme or whatever. So the Fortnite was our theme this year, and that's because as I coach youth football with the 4th and 5th graders, all I hear them talking about is Fortnite and Fortnite. So I thought, all right, that's what kids are into. We'll do a Fortnite station this year. So it's been fun. The tractor pull was something I wasn't aware of because I haven't been up yet this year. We're probably going to go this weekend, but where on the property is that?
It's right past the reindeer enclosure. If you're familiar with where that is, you get on near the Red Barn, and it takes you through a part of the zoo that most people don't really get to experience. So yeah, it's a really nice attraction. For some reason, people just love being pulled on tractors. It's been such a popular attraction. It actually sold out last weekend, but there's still 2 more weekends for people to come check it out. Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. It goes through the end of October here, the last weekend in October, and people can always get tickets, there the day of, but some of these things, train rides, tractor pulls, things like that, it's always a good idea to get tickets in advance if you can. Absolutely, yeah. My insider tip is to go on Ogilby.com and buy your admission, train ride, and hayride tickets in advance and skip the lines. Oh, you can actually get all 3 online, not just the admission to the to the event itself. Right. That's good to know, because I didn't even realize that. Speaking of the zoo, Boo at the Zoo, a fun time of the year, but the zoo has really started to, make some noise around the country because of the encounters with the animals, which is, it's not unique, I don't want to say to Ogilby, but it's something that you don't get to experience in a lot of zoos around the country, particularly some of the larger zoos where people can come in and actually play with the animals and interact with them, feed them, things like that. That's exactly right. We have people who travel all across the nation, and actually from some countries. We had someone come from Germany specifically to interact with the animals, as you said. The one that's specifically really attracting people is the red panda encounter. We're one of the only zoos in the U.S. that provides that experience to guests. We also have a new snow leopard, which you can also do an encounter with. And as we roll into the Festival of Lights season, you can do the reindeer encounter and meet Santa's reindeer as well. So there are some really great things happening at the zoo. I would have never thought that you could do an encounter with a snow leopard. That's interesting. Well, technically you can feed him and interact with him. You cannot get in the cage. Yeah, I'd be a little nervous about that. Yeah. And I know he'd be faster than me too. So faster, stronger, or whatever you want to say. Right. He could take me down. Right. So what some other things in the fall have been really significant at Ogilby. Of course, Ogilby Fest like always, but also providing some lodging for hurricane evacuees. I mean, that was something that Ogilby rolled out there for people trying to get out of the Carolinas when the hurricane was coming in, and had a lot of people respond to that. It's true. Honestly, at first we thought, who is going to travel all this way, 600 miles just to come to Ogilby? But we were so glad to see that so many people took us up on that offer. We had in total about 40 families, and that was approximately 100 people who came. And for a little over a week, they received completely complimentary accommodations, just having a roof over their heads so they could take a breath and just figure out their next step was just so valuable to them. And it was even, a growth experience for us. I mean, this was the first time that we had rolled out a promotion like this, but to see that we really could help people that were in need in that way, it was very powerful for Ogilby as well. Well, the nice thing about it is, Ogilby was born out of philanthropy of Colonel Ogilby, exactly. And he gave his land to the city of Wheeling for this park system. Now to be able to give back in that way, I think is tremendous, and it says a lot for Ogilby. It says something for the Wheeling community, for the state of West Virginia to reach out to people that didn't have a place to stay, and let's say, hey, you can come stay here for free. That was pretty fantastic. I'm sure Earl was smiling down on us while we were doing that, I'm sure. For sure. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue talking about Ogilby, and specifically something new at the Festival of Lights this year that you won't want to miss. Stay with us here to hear all about it.
You earned it. Let us help you save it. Belmont Savings Bank. Focused on your future.
So, how was your first day?
Long. So, Josh asked me about you.
Daddy's home. Go get him.
For your home, for your life, for more than 50 years. The Hardwood Specialists. DeNoon Lumber.
Welcome back to the show. I've been speaking with my guest this week, Lindsey McGlaughlin, who is an account executive at Wheelhouse Creative and serves as the marketing manager at Ogilvy. And, you know, Lindsey, people may recognize you a little bit from the What's Up at Ogilvy features on social media that you do every week now. It's another good way to just learn about what's going on at Ogilvy, and something that's been fun going on now for, what, about a year now or so? Absolutely,
yeah. It was just a wild idea that we had. So many people were saying, I never know what's going on at the park. So that was the way that we addressed that. Just a way to let people know what's going on and invite them up to take advantage of our activities. So I'm flattered to know that people are watching, because people are starting to recognize me, which is kind of crazy, but we have fun with it.
You've kind of become the star of the show, or the face of Ogilvy, so to speak.
They've turned me into a ham, I think.
Well, let's talk festival. You brought some lights here.
I did. I brought you a gift today.
Yeah, so we got some lights here that we've plugged in, and I guess big change here to the Festival of Lights, something that people have never experienced before. So let's talk all about this new thing that's going to be happening at the Festival of Lights this year.
Absolutely. So the Festival of Lights is obviously a long-standing tradition. So we were looking for a way to just reinvigorate the experience this year and add a new element. So we're doing that with, and I brought you a pair. This is a demo pair. So guests will experience a Festival of Lights set of glasses when they do experience the show, but we're calling them Ogilvy sleigh bands, not to be confused with Ray-Bans. Right. So when you come to the Festival of Lights, you'll receive a family 4-pack, and it includes these wonderful holographic lenses, which allows you to see a different image on every point of light. So we use holographic technology to manufacture these. So why don't you put them on and try them out?
All right.
This is the reindeer lens.
I got to check this out. Oh, wow. That is really cool. So each light, not just like that, each light turns into a reindeer.
And as you move your head, actually, it creates more of a 3D effect,
yeah,
and the images
right.
move and dance.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
Guests can experience a family 4-pack includes the reindeer pair, a star, a snowflake, and fireworks. So truly you're getting 4 different experiences, and on every pair of glasses there's also 2 little coupons you'll be able to rip off, and there's more than $25 in money-saving coupons that you can redeem throughout the park. So you can feel good about supporting the park with a donation, and then you can also save some money too during the holiday season.
Now, when you're done, you get to keep the glasses?
Yes, and they work on your Christmas tree at home too.
Oh, so if you have, I guess on the house too, if you have lights on the house or whatever, because I like to put them out in the bushes and things like that. But right. So it actually will turn my lights into whatever's there as well if I have those on?
Exactly, so you can enjoy it all season long.
Well, that'll be a lot of fun. My kids will enjoy that.
So that's the main attraction, but we also have the Winter Carnival. So that's new, that's at Levinson Shelter. So that'll be an attraction that's all carnival themed. There's carnival treats. There's also a hayride that will take folks down through the good zoo, through the side entrance of the zoo, into an area that a lot of people don't get to experience during the winter season. There'll also be a train ride for kids and a straw maze. So it's going to be a really fun time. It'll be at Levinson Shelter.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. So some good changes there. With regard to the glasses, you mentioned that they'll be kind of Ogilvy identified, and people will get those if they they make the donation at the donation booth, and they'll get the glasses as well.
Exactly. So of course there's no fee to visit the Festival of Lights, but we do ask for a suggested donation. So for a donation of $25, you'll receive a season pass to the Festival of Lights. You can come and go as many times as you'd like throughout the season, and you'll receive a family 4-pack with the 4 lenses that I mentioned and the $25 in money-saving coupons. And that will be for the $25 donation. And what folks need to understand too is that $25 goes to better the park. So all year long when we have activities that are free to the community, like fireworks, or even the Festival of Lights, for example, all those amenities are completely free. So you can feel good about making that donation and knowing that you're giving back to the community and you're making the park a better place.
Yeah, you think even just about Ogilvy Fest that just happened, so many people go up there and enjoy that.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's and of course those things cost money to put on.
Absolutely, and a lot of people don't realize that Ogilvy is one of the only self-sustaining park systems in the United States, and they're a model park system for that reason. So we don't get government funding like, let's say, a state park would. So the park truly does run on donations, and a lot of those come through the Ogilvy Foundation and just gifts from individuals, like for example the $25 for the Festival of Lights donation.
Well, that's great. I'm so happy to hear about these glasses because, you know, I go through the Festival of Lights every year. I mean, I've done it since it first started, and you know, to have this new experience and get to check something out and hear what my kids' reaction will be from the back seat, it's going to be fun to experience that. So
come see us, and you can try all 4 lenses.
Of course, one of the other big things, you know, that's relatively new still in recent years at Ogilvy is the snow tubing. So that's something I want to try to get up there and experience as well.
You should.
You know, it's not just skiing, but now also the tubing where you can come back up on the lift and not have to walk back up a hill when you're
That's my kind of tubing. Yeah,
for sure. Well, Lindsey, I really appreciate you being on the show, talking about Boo at the Zoo, talking about the Festival of Lights and all the exciting things that are to be coming. And I think people are going to really like this here in the area.
I hope so.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
We need to take a break. When I come back, we'll be talking sports. Stay with us here on the Jamie Bordas Show. People in nursing homes are some of the most vulnerable members of our society. They're there because they can't take care of themselves. Those facilities have a duty to take care of our loved ones, and when they don't, it's important they're held accountable. We've not only collected record results against negligent nursing homes, but more importantly, we've helped so many families get the answers and closure they so badly needed.
Bordas and Bordas, fighting for justice. Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Dana Hogerson. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Mountaineers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Welcome back to the show. It's time to talk sports. Before I do, I just want to mention Lindsey McGlaughlin left me with this map, and it is really cool. This is a Festival of Lights map for this year, and it's got all the different stations and things to do. This is like being at Disney World. I mean, there's just really cool. That tells you a little bit about everything that's there, and it maps out on the property, different numbers that correspond with the things in the description. So really cool. Make sure you grab that when you go up there, because it tells you all about it. I really am going to enjoy this, and I'm going to keep this. But talking sports, let's start in Pittsburgh. The Steelers with the big last-minute win against Cincinnati last week on the road, and an important win within the division. You know, the Steelers could have really, put themselves behind the 8 ball with a loss last week. Now, right in the mix of things, they get the bye week this week. The other teams in the division have tough games. You know, the Bengals have to play Kansas City. Baltimore's got New Orleans. You know, it could really be some good things for the Steelers to come now. And James Conner had a big game last week. Antonio Brown with the game-winning touchdown. And the Steelers sit at 3-2-1. Still no sign of Le'Veon Bell. It'd be interesting to see what happens here in the next week, whether he reports before the next game, where the Steelers will be facing the Browns next week. But Steelers in much better shape than they looked to be a couple weeks ago. And I picked them to win the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to stick with it, but a lot still needs to be done, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The NBA season is underway, hard to believe already, and the big question is, can the Golden State Warriors win 3 in a row and 4 of the last 5? Believe it or not, they added another all-star caliber player to the roster, and center DeMarcus Cousins, hurt right now to start the season, but you know, another addition. That's the only place they were a little bit weak was at center, and now they've got him in the lineup. And Steph Curry started the season on a high note, you know, really banging in a lot of shots, and a big win over OKC. They were without Westbrook, who's hurt here, had a little bit of knee surgery last month, but the big question is, can anybody knock off the Warriors in the West? LeBron James out west now for the first time in his career with the Los Angeles Lakers, but probably just not enough yet there to take care of that all-star lineup at Golden State. The Houston Rockets will give them a run again, but I like Golden State to come out of the West again. And then the East will be extremely interesting. Of course, LeBron James teams have been the Eastern Conference champions the last 8 years in a row, 4 in Miami, then 4 in Cleveland. But he's out West now, as I said. So the Celtics and 76ers look to be maybe the teams to beat. They faced each other on opening night, and the Celtics came away with the win in that one. I think the Celtics are just a little bit more experienced. I think the Sixers are going to be, they're not that far away, but I think the Celtics come out of the East this year. I like Golden State over Boston in 6 in the NBA Finals this year. That's my prediction. Long way to go, though, to get to June. Let's set out your college football Saturday for you. Big game starting right out of the first part of the day, noon. Number 6 ranked Michigan at number 24 Michigan State in a rivalry game. That game will be on Fox. Jim Harbaugh struggled in big games since he's been at Michigan, but that defense is really good. Only lost this year in the opener to Notre Dame, that 24-17 loss in South Bend. And Shea Patterson is starting to come on at quarterback. Of course, he transferred from Ole Miss. Now he kind of seems like he's finding his groove a little bit. I think that the noon start helps Michigan on the road. If it was a night game and that Michigan State crowd was really into it, maybe a little bit different story, but I like Michigan in this one, particularly because of the noon start, and I like that Michigan defense. Then at 3:30, a game of unbeatens on ABC right here on WTRF, number 16 NC State at number 3 Clemson. And, like I said, both undefeated, but I don't know what to think about NC State. They really haven't played anyone very solid yet. They had a win over Boston College. Okay, they were supposed to play WVU, but, of course, that game got canceled because of the hurricane. I think the quarterbacks are the story in this game. NC State has a 6th-year guy at quarterback. Clemson with the true freshman. What happens there? I think it's going to be interesting to watch that quarterback situation throughout the game, but the Clemson defensive line is just so good. I mean, all NFL-type guys on that defensive line for Clemson, and they got the home field advantage. Death Valley, a tough place to play. I think Clemson wins this one, but I wouldn't be shocked if NC State pulled off the upset, but I'll take Clemson. Then it's the 7 o'clock hour, 3 big games really, all during the 7 o'clock hour. At 7 o'clock, number 22 Mississippi State at number 5 LSU on ESPN. LSU, of course, coming off the big win against Georgia, knocking them from the ranks of the unbeaten. I predicted that game and that upset by LSU, but Mississippi State has had 2 weeks to prepare for LSU. I always like teams coming off of a bye because they get that extra week to get ready, to watch film, get their guys understanding what the other team is going to do. I think that the Bulldogs upset LSU in Baton Rouge and get a really, really big win for the first-year head coach there at Mississippi State. Then at 7:30, number 2 Ohio State goes on the road to Purdue. That game's on ABC right here on WTRF. And Purdue lost their first 3 games of the year, but by 4 points, 1 point, and 3 points. Now they've won 3 games in a row. This is a dangerous game for Ohio State. People may not think that. They think, Purdue. But this is at night on the road with a team that's gotten a little bit hot here. And Ohio State has gotten off to some slow starts this year. They can't afford to get off to a slow start again. I think Purdue pulls off the upset and beats the Buckeyes with a big upset win against number 2 ranked Ohio State. I'll take Purdue in that one. Then at 7:30 on Fox, 12 Oregon and number 25 Washington State. I like Oregon's quarterback. Mike Leach will do something crazy, the head coach at Washington State. Just always seems to. I like this Oregon team a lot. They had the win where they lost late, the loss where they dropped the game late against Stanford. It's their only loss. I think they get it done on the road. I like Oregon in this game to beat Washington State, so I'll take the Ducks in that one. So 3 big games during the 7 o'clock hour, and I think 2 of them end in upsets. I think Ohio State and LSU, both top 5 teams, go down on Saturday night. That's all the time we have this week. I appreciate you joining in. Look forward to seeing you again next time on The Jamie Bordas Show.